belong up here. $11.26.
What I want you two to be is kind of right here, so either one of you can be on this side. So one on this side, one on this side. And then Lindsay and Professor Walsh, if we can have you come. I'm going to have you stand next to Councilmember Jost. And then Professor Walsh, can I have you stand next to Councilmember Bowie? All right. And then I'm going to do the three kids first. So it's John, Jada, and Jay. You want to come on up here? So, Jada, I'm going to have you stand here. And then, John, you're a little tall, so I'm going to have you stand here. Kind of, so if you take a step forward, John will stand behind you, right here. And then, Jay, I'm going to have you come on and stand over here. Right here. Yep, right here next. And so what will happen to John when you come off is you'll be centered, you'll be on his left, and then you'll be on his right. And then, if folks want to just come on in, so I can see, I want to make sure we have like the height variable accounted for. So, all right. So excited for the Councilmember. If you could come forward. Do you know if Councilmember Cashman? I think she's on her way. Okay, we'll try to hold out for her. I'm going to have you actually stand next to Councilmember Bowie. Same height. All right. The University of Minnesota. Christian. Okay, Christian and Carla, you both are really tall, so I'm going to have you come back. So I'm going to have you step up right behind Professor Walsh. For sure. Yep, and you'll go right. Yep. And then Carla, if you could stand up right behind John. Up on the left. Oh. There we go. Okay. And then Lindsay and Sora, if you switch. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, then we can see two Sean. All right. You were also really tall. Now I have to stand next to Carla. And then, this is so tough. All right, I want everybody to just, so come on in, everybody to just go up on the platform. Yeah, that was encouraging. Councilmember Wilburn, you're a little short, so I'm going to have to step forward. Incredibly tall. What do you mean? You are the perfect height, so I'm going to have you be in the window right here, and then Chris, if you could step one a little bit, and then you, I think we need you off the platform, and then right here. Yeah, there we go. And Andy, I think you are good where you are. I think everybody looks good. I'm going to go bring everybody else in. You good? Okay.
How you doing? Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being here.
I know. Right. So I'm going to have Wearsome up. If you step up next to
Oh, they're putting me in.
I'll get in the back.
crowded.
I don't want to stand in front of you guys. I'm not tall, but I'm taller than you.
There's going to be over now.
I'll be next. Mayor Norton.
We are covering Gretchen here.
So where do you want me to go over here? Somewhere, or where do you want me?
Sorry, Gretchen, sorry, Don, if you step forward, and Mayor Supple, if you are behind here, what you'll do is you'll just step out. Yeah. Okay. So there we go. Thank you. Yeah, that works. There we go.
Good morning, I'm Melvin Carter and I serve as mayor of the city of St. Paul, and I want to say thank you to all of the local leaders who are standing with us today, as well as all who continue to step up and commit to this critical and life-saving work. Mayor Fry, we are still grieving with Minneapolis, and we continue to send our prayers and support to the Annunciation families and the entire city of Minneapolis. We want to thank you for being with us, and we want to tell you we heard the city of Minneapolis when we heard loud and clear those families say, pray with your feet. And when we were here a couple of weeks ago, a number of us, I was just sharing back in the other room, someone asked a number of us, what should be different? Why should this mass shooting be different than the others? And sadly, we all know that our Congress is unlikely to take bold action. And we all know that there's an uphill battle. Our governor has said we need a special session, and we have legislative leaders who are fighting to push for a special session, but we still have an uphill battle for bold action to come out of this space. So that means local leaders have to stand up and act. We have to do something different, and I'm proud to be a part of a local collective of leaders who have said we are going to do something different. We are proposing in all of our cities, moving forward, we will be proposing a set of policies that will do 4 simple things. That will ban the public possession of assault weapons, that will ban those devices that turn regular guns into machine guns, that will ban guns in libraries and parks and rec centers and sensitive civic spaces, and that will require every gun to have a serial number. Those things have 2 things in common. One, most Minnesotans, the vast majority of Minnesotans, think that's the bare minimum of what we ought to be doing on guns. And 2, there are a number of leaders right here in this building, in our legislature, who says that's far too much. That's absurdity, and we have to make sure that we make that plain. We have asked, and we're asking again, for our state to either act and set those things into law statewide, or remove the preemptions that prevent cities from being able to implement these laws in ourselves, because we know that state law preempts us from even enforcing these common sense laws. We're happy to be here. I'm going to pass it off to Mayor Fry, and we have a number of mayors who would love to share with you their thoughts on this, and then we'll take questions at the end. Thank you so much. Mayor Fry. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor Carter, thank you for the bold action and for moving your feet, and also for your support of families throughout Minneapolis that have suffered so greatly over the last couple of months. In the Annunciation shooting, hundreds of rounds were fired by a military-style weapon with a high-capacity magazine. By the way, these guns and that magazine, they were obtained legally. That is precisely the problem. And we as mayors are trying to make a difference, because here's the thing, we're the ones that get called at 1:30 in the morning because yet another kid has been gunned down. We're the ones that have phone calls and meetings with grieving family members who are suffering deeply because of gun violence. We know what the answers are. The answers are to get these weapons of war off our streets, to ban high-capacity magazines, to ban assault rifles, and if the federal and state legislatures aren't able or willing to do it, give us the ability to do it ourselves, because we have a deep responsibility and obligation to keep our city safe. Like St. Paul, Minneapolis is preparing an ordinance to take effect the moment that the state's firearm preemption law is lifted. I want to thank Councilmember Oreen Chowdhury, who's with us, who is ready to bring forward that necessary legislation that, of course, I will sign the moment it hits my desk. We are ready to act. What we are saying is move your feet with us. Act with us so that this kind of thing never happens again. There is no higher duty. And with that, I will turn it over to my good friend and the mayor of Rochester, Kim Norton.
Thank you very much. It was an honor and privilege to drive up here today to stand with these wonderful folks behind me As city leaders, it is our job to care about the people who live in our community. Preemption has tied our hands at being able to take action to protect the people that we care about. Back in 2015-16, when I served in the legislature, I carried 4 pieces of legislation, not exactly as we have here today, but different common sense gun laws that would help us to be able to take some control over these issues. I couldn't even get a hearing. And yet here we are today after the tragic shooting at Annunciation Church, facing these very same issues over and over again. So I stand here ready to fight with these folks to put some rules in our own cities and hope and pray that folks at the Capitol take the action that they must take, and at Congress to take the action they must take so that we can protect our residents. I have the privilege of introducing the Bloomington Mayor, Tim Bussey, who's going to speak next.
Good afternoon. I'm Tim Bussey, Mayor of the City of Bloomington. I'm proud to be here with my fellow mayors and community advocates to speak on this very important topic and to call to action, to emphasize this call to action. It's not hyperbole to say that we are in a clear and present danger situation. We have weapons of war on our streets, in our schools, in our places of worship, and the call to action is now. Since the tragic shooting at the Annunciation Church in Minneapolis, Minnesotans have made one thing clear. Inaction is not an option any longer. We must do something. And if state and federal leaders don't act and won't act, cities absolutely will. Cities will lead on gun violence protection in one simple way and one simple reason: we're the closest to the problem. And we are closest to the solution in so many ways. Our law enforcement and our local health officials are on the front lines. They respond to shootings. They comfort grieving families. They manage the trauma that ripples through the neighborhoods after these shootings. That proximity creates urgency, and it creates accountability. And that urgency is very paramount right now. We can't let this issue be lost in the endlessly ridiculous news cycles that happen. This needs to stay at the front of everyone's mind and be a priority for the state of Minnesota and for the United States. Unlike state and federal governments, cities don't get bogged down in gridlock. We can't afford to. We pilot programs, we adjust policies, we implement ordinances, we get the work done. And when cities succeed, states often follow. Giving cities the authority and resources to lead can spark solutions that scale up, creating models for regional and national reform. In short, we mayors aren't asking for permission to keep our residents safe. Cities do that every single day. What we are asking for is the opportunity to put in place specific common sense legislation, ordinances in our own cities that will keep our residents safer. And to do that before we're standing here again.
That's right.
With that, I would like to introduce my neighbor to the north, the Mayor of Richfield, Mary Supple.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. My name is Mary Supple. I'm the mayor of Richfield, and I'm a retired educator who taught in Richfield for 30 years. When I began my teaching career, the school safety drills consisted of what to do if there was a tornado or a severe storm or a fire evacuation. All that changed in 1999 with Columbine. At the time, we told the students that statistically, schools were the safest place you could be, and we hoped that this one-time horrific event would never, ever happen again. Educators and parents can no longer say that. Sadly, we have again experienced the violence right here at home at Annunciation. We have the power to change this disturbing pattern of violence. I urge our legislators to take action to address gun violence at the state level, and if the state does not act to protect our children, I believe cities should be allowed to take action at the local level. It's very simple. Our children deserve better. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce my colleague, Mayor Kazlowski from Stillwater.
Thank you, everybody. Ted Kazlowski, Mayor of Stillwater. You know, as a property owner, as a business owner, I can ban firearms from my place of business, my property. We ban guns from Vikings games, Wild games, the Mall of America. It seems like a no-brainer, right? But as a community, I can't have a conversation with my council to keep these guns out of Teddy Bear Park.
That's right.
I can't keep them off of Main Street. We've had demonstrations on Main Street in downtown Stillwater with people carrying AR-15s. But I can't keep those guns off of Main Street. I don't have the authority to do it. To me, that's absurd, right? The Mall of America can ban guns. The Excel Energy, or sorry, the Grand Casino Arena can keep guns out of their events and off their property. But as the mayor of the city of Stillwater, I can't keep them out of Teddy Bear Park, and it's absolutely absurd. That's right. And it needs to stop. So with that, I'm going to turn it over and introduce Mayor Graves. Come on, Mayor Graves.
Hello, Mayor Graves from the City of Brooklyn Center. There's a frame of mind we've been asked to live in, one shaped by grief, by sirens, by the quiet ache of another headline that sounds too much like the last. In Minnesota, we've lost children in churches, neighbors on porches, futures in flashes, and still we're told to wait, to mourn, to hope someone else will fix it. But I say this, we're not just witnesses, we are architects.
That's right.
We are the ones who shape the future and the frame. We're the ones who decide whether our laws reflect our love, whether our policies protect our people, whether our silence becomes action. This is our moment to shift the frame from reaction to prevention, from despair to determination, and from thoughts and prayers to votes and bills.
That's right.
Let us write laws that honor life. Let us demand background checks, safe storage, community investment, and a ban on weapons of war in our neighborhoods. Let us build coalitions as strong as our sorrow. Let us turn pain into policy. Because healing is not passive, it's presence, it's power, it's people standing together, speaking truth, and reshaping the frame. So today I ask you, don't just feel, act, don't just grieve, lead. Let us be the ones who change the narrative. Let us be the ones who shape the laws. Let us be the ones who say no more and actually mean it.
That's right.
And with that, I'd like to introduce my friend, Mayor Hanlin from Hopkins.
That's right.
Yeah, when I go around Hopkins and I talk to people in Hopkins, they lean weakly to the right and lean weakly to the left. We are strong centrists in our city. And these kids that died at Annunciation and across this country were not Republicans and they weren't Democrats. I've been told that this is a cause. This is because of emotion that's happening here, the overwhelming emotion. Well, the data in this country is overwhelming and abnormal as far as the shootings that are going on here. And I really pride myself in coming from a state that still bipartisanship exists. And as I've been going around and talking to people in the city of Hopkins across our city, I think they are so. Obviously, the emotion around the shooting and the sorrow and the sadness is there, but there is also a deep sadness because I don't think anyone believes that anyone is going to do a damn thing about this at the end of the day. And I'm hoping that, like I said, I come from a city that we pride ourselves in still having bipartisanship and that someone can step across the aisle and support our mayors, and if they're not willing to do it, to give us the tools to have tools in our local city. Thank you. And with that, Mayor Harmon wanted to be here from Golden Valley today, and she couldn't make it. And I'm going to introduce my good friend, Mayor Brad Wearsome from Minnetonka.
Thank you, Mayor Hanlin, and thank you all for being here today. I'm Brad Wearsome, Mayor of the City of Minnetonka. And I'm here today because for me as a mayor, public safety is of paramount importance to my city. I am a nonpartisan person who holds a nonpartisan office. I may be somewhat unusual. I'm here today because I think that taking action to limit the types of guns available to the general public makes cities safer. I am not anti-gun. I do, however, support restrictions on the availability of assault weapons, binary triggers, armor-piercing bullets, and other particularly virulent types of guns and ammunition. These limits are not contrary to the protections provided by the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. None of the technologies that I just described were even invented at the time the Bill of Rights was adopted. While I think that these recommendations are straightforward, common sense restrictions, it is never so simple. What seems to be common sense to some is a highly divisive political issue to others. I'm a political moderate who believes that taking some action is absolutely essential. The 4 actions that are collectively supported by the mayors here will not stop horrific gun violence. They will make our residents modestly safer and will potentially reduce the severity and virulence of future shootings. That is not a solution, but it is a rational, incremental step forward to making our cities safer. Cities need to lead, and leaders need to lead. Let's get this done. That's right. And with that, I will turn it to Councilmember Dewan.
I'm John Doan, Shoreview City Council member, a parent, and a former Navy lieutenant. I'm here representing myself with all of these great people to speak truth to power. That's right. Like everyone here, I believe doing nothing about gun violence is simply not an option. I don't want to see the federal or state leaders step back from their responsibilities, but when political gridlock puts the safety of our kids at risk, someone has to act. That's right. Would I prefer a unified statewide approach? Absolutely. But if that's not happening, cities must do what we can, because a patchwork of progress is better than a blanket of inaction. That's right. We can't let perfection be the enemy of the good, and I want to commend Mayor Carter for his bold leadership and this coalition of mayors for choosing action over apathy. I stand with you, and I will do everything in my power to make sure no community, no family has to ever endure another Annunciation again. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Kathleen Anderson with Moms Demand Action.
Good morning, everyone. I have to confess that the emotions of the last 6 weeks have caught up to me with the frustration and the sadness and just the weight of it. So it's felt really good to arrive today and see so many familiar faces and people that are fighting for the same things that we've been fighting for years, not just the last 6 weeks. My name is Kathleen Anderson. I'm one of the chapter leaders for Moms Demand Action in Minnesota, and I organize out of St. Paul. I came to this volunteer work from my experiences as a clinical social worker who sat across from families whose lives have been upended by gun violence or the persistent threat of gun violence. Those psychic wounds run deep and impact individuals, families, and communities long after the headlines have faded. It's been a month and a half since the Annunciation Catholic School shooting, 5 weeks since I stood at this very same lectern with many of the people behind me, 2 weeks since I stood on the steps of the Capitol with Annunciation moms. 2 children were killed in a place that should have been their sanctuary. Their classmates, teachers, and families are forever changed. We, as Minnesotans, are forever changed. And since that tragedy, Minnesotans have made one thing clear: we cannot look away. The families are begging us, do not look away. And the mayors aren't looking away. Everyone here has reached out to us, thanked our volunteers after events, and offered to help. They are united in saying enough is enough. Local leaders should have the power to protect their communities, but right now, Minnesota preemption laws stop them from doing so. It handcuffs cities and counties, blocking them from passing their own gun safety measures, even basic common sense ones like banning assault weapons, requiring secure storage of firearms, and keeping guns out of rec centers and libraries. Businesses recognize that guns on their property carry great risk to their customers and their bottom line. Insurance companies recognize that guns on their property offer great risk. The gun lobby is the only one who benefits from these laws, which is why they lobbied successfully across the nation beginning in the 1980s. Today, 42 states across the nation have these preemption laws on the books. So if a mayor wants to take action to protect children in their own city, they cannot. The status of these laws is not leadership, it's obstruction, and it's also intentional intimidation, seeking to punish those who attempt to reduce gun violence in their communities, and it's costing lives. If the state refuses to act and continues to avert their eyes, local government must be allowed to. This call for action is part of the larger movement that is sweeping the state, from survivors to medical professionals to teachers to the faith leaders who have been gathering for the last 7 days in action and prayer. In just a few moments, these clergy members, who represent more than 900 faith leaders across the state of Minnesota, will close their week of prayer right here at the Capitol. They've shown us what moral courage looks like, and now it's time for our lawmakers to match it. Children should not have to be practicing lockdown drills at schools instead of their spelling words. Parents should not have to wonder if their children are going to be coming home from school. And local lawmakers should not have to be begging for the authority to keep their residents safe. Governor Walz and our elected leaders, we are ready for action. We have been begging for action. Please give our local authorities the power to do what they feel is necessary to keep their residents safe. Okay, and with that, we are honored to have some of our high school activists here to talk about how they feel about these issues. So, there you are, Tajan, there you are. I was looking around. Come on, Tajan. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tajan Davis, and today I'm representing Face to Face Academy. I feel like nowadays we don't know who has a gun and who's not. And as somebody who takes bus transportation, you can't really tell who's carrying or if you're going to make it home or make it safe to any place that you can feel safe or comfortable. Well, it's home or your grandparents' house, somewhere you feel safe. I feel like we need change, and I feel like our mayors are the one that can help us.
All right. Thank you, sir.
I'm Jay Dreher from Face to Face Academy, and I'd just like to say that it's time to stop gun violence. No matter what your political views are, we have all been affected by this, and it's a scary place where people can have access to something that can take someone's life so quickly. And you can never get that life back, and that's just something that is so hard to grasp for a lot of people. And I know that it's time to take a stand against gun violence.
Just weeks ago, we experienced children in a school, in a church, praying, who had bullets rain down on them through a stained glass window so fast they didn't have a chance to run or hide or fight or do anything. Those 7-year-olds, those 8-year-olds, those 9-year-olds, those 10-year-olds knew that they had to do anything they could to protect Minnesota children from gunfire. And that's the exact same thing we are asking from our legislative leaders. I want to say thank you to some of the folks who are here today. I definitely want to say thank you. So in the next coming days, we will present some language around ordinance language. I want to say thank you to St. Paul Ward 1 Councilmember Anika Bowie, who's here today. I want to say thank you to Ward 3 Councilmember Sarah Jost, who's here today, and the rest of the members of our City Council who are poised to introduce this language in St. Paul in very short order. And I certainly want to say thank you to our City Attorney, Lindsay Olson, who has taken the lead in drafting in drafting these ordinances, and a big thank you to Professor Megan Walsh at the Gun Violence Prevention Law Clinic at the University of Minnesota, who has helped us make sure that this ordinance language is well written. Again, not just for St. Paul, but for all of the cities that are here. Thank you all for coming out. We're happy to take any questions.
Have any of the mayors communicated with House Republicans? The public safety chair in the House has basically said he doesn't support repealing preemption law.
I would imagine if somebody wants to speak more specifically to this, I know a number of us have spoken specifically to many leaders of the legislature who represent us, and that's why we have to take action at the local level to be able to say, one, we're not willing to accept no change whatsoever. And if some of the leaders who hold the gavels in this space, and again, I want to say we appreciate and support the work of Governor Walz, who has called for a special session. We appreciate those legislators who are supporting that call. But if there are going to be folks who hold gavels in this building who say we're not going to do anything different as a result of seeing children being murdered in our schools, well, that's not acceptable. That's why our cities have to act. And frankly, that's why we have to have a conversation that goes beyond the walls of this building to outline the absurdity. If the basics, like saying every gun has to have a serial number, if there are people who we entrust with gavels in the state capitol who would stand in the way of saying every gun has to have a serial number, or we're not going to allow assault rifles in Teddy Bear Park, if there are folks who stand in the way of that, we have to have a public conversation about that absurdity.
Do you have any concerns that if they were to repeal the preemption law, what would stop, say, a rural municipality from loosening gun restrictions, saying, you know, and I don't know from a legal aspect if that would be allowed, but could this potentially have a counterproductive effect in some places?
Councilmember Doan already said it. Our preference would be statewide action. Our preference would be a national coalition to do the things that the vast and overwhelming majority of Minnesotans want. And so this is not a perfect solution. This is not any of our ideal solution. This is where we are because of inaction by some of the folks in this building who hold gavels. This is where we are because when the governor made a simple statement that we want a special session to do something about this, there are folks right here in this building who decided to be obstructionists where this is concerned. So yes, the proposals that we're bringing forward and the mechanism that we're bringing forward is far from a perfect solution, but we all have to do what we're able to do. That includes the legislators who work in this building, and we know that that includes mayors and city leaders across the state as well. Thank you all for being here. Oh, did you have a question?
I'm sorry, I was just going to ask, so there's people who will just say generally that current gun laws are not enforced, or not enforced enough. What do you say in response to that?
There's so many excuses. There's so many excuses. What I say in response to that is children in a school, in a church. I mean, how many layers of unacceptable should this be? Children in a school, in a church praying had bullets rain down on them, 100 in a minute, through a stained glass window. How many layers of stop it do we have to go through? And every one of our cities does every single thing that we can, every single thing that we can figure out to stop and to prevent gun violence in our communities. Every one of our police departments is on the streets all day, every day, pulling ghost guns out of our community, trying to solve crimes, trying to hold people accountable for firing guns. And every single one of those police chiefs that we represent would tell you that their work is impacted by the actions and, more importantly, the inactions that happen at the state capitol and in Washington, D.C. So what I think we're here today to say is we're tired of excuses for inaction. We're tired of covering up for simple things that actually the vast majority of people who live outside of this building all agree on, and we have to be willing to take action. And what we're saying is, as mayors, we're not even going to sit anymore and hope that somebody else takes action. We're going to do something. Thank you all for being here.